Okay, up next we got Sandra. Is it Batista? I could be saying that completely wrong. I apologize if I am. Um, very stylized stuff. That's cool. I'm down. I'm down with that. Okay, so you want to be an environment artist, and you said everything is welcome for feedback. So I think you've got quite a bit of stylized stuff, and you got some. Let's look at this peaceful forest thing here. Project inspired by the forest in Canada, in the game Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Very nice. So like, let's just grab some of this stuff. So we'll start with this image. First off, actually, looking at your portfolio, I'm seeing a lot of stylized stuff, and then some realistic things, and then some props, and some fan art. Now, when it comes to like seeing your portfolio, like up front, the initial reaction is I think you want to work in like stylized games or cartoony type work, right? And so if that's not the case, then we need to make some adjustments as to like how like what you're displaying and where. Um, and it's just a matter of like reorganizing what you're displaying in what order. You really like? Is that you? Is that you, Sandra? Tomb Evil. Um, yeah, you really like stylized. All right, cool. Then I won't. You're organizing it quite well, and I think it's totally fine to have fan art on your page. Maybe just put it at the end like you have here, because you want people to be focusing on that top row, right? Or like the initial like first five or so. Um, so I'm gonna look at this piece just because there's some key things that I can point out that maybe you can look after. Actually, let me see how old this image is. So you posted this 9 months ago, and some of your more recent stylized stuff is 8 months ago, a month ago, and this one is 8 days ago. How exciting. Ooh, I already like this one. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So it's all pretty close in the window of time, or in that range. Let's delete these. We'll paste that in there, and then we'll just zoom out here and just kind of get this into place. So actually, I'll grab this one too. Okay, so when you're looking at scenes and composition, framing wise, this one's pretty good. It feels like maybe your camera is focusing more like this is where you want to be looking, right? Let's get a different color here. This is where you want to be looking, and everything is leading like this, right? And you can see, like, I guess you could say it's like this as well. So everything's kind of pointing here, and I think that leaves a lot of questions as to like why you have all this space here, right? And I think it's okay to have space there, and that the center doesn't need to be like directly center of the image. I actually think if you were to do just some simple framing, let's just do. So let's say we cut that off, and then maybe like this piece. Framing wise, now you can see that this is off to the side here instead of being so centered. You're using less of the space on the side here, and then you can actually start to look at what is going on here. My zoom in button was not working. You can start looking at this edge and this edge for how your path is laid out, and maybe even open it up a little bit more. Maybe add a little bit more character to the edge here, and like where the grass decides to end up falling off. And then think about what this ground is made out of, right? So if we delete that, and we'll just keep this clean like this. That's what I'm seeing right now is quite a straight line, and if you can make this more organic, it would be nice. The ground is pretty clear and clean. I think it's totally okay to have branches and stuff in there, and breaking up the ground so it's not just the same material is going to help with these like really strange highlights that end up happening with a material that's expanding outwards for more than just a little bit. Like if it's just that material for a while, you probably want to, you see you've got twigs and branches and stuff here. Make a material that's kind of like this one with maybe more rocks, maybe a little bit more like pieces of grass and stuff in it and some branches, and just kind of paint that in around the edge to help you like break that edge up so it's not so straight. It becomes more organic and natural. And then I would just take this material and just kind of try and push it a little bit further. Every forest scene should be a shortcut to mushrooms. Yeah. Some other things that I'm noticing to just like point stuff out is this. Oh man, now I'm eye dropping. Hang on here. Still getting used to this screen thing. This really dark material stuff that's going on in here. I don't know if that's baked lighting or what. I would look at the material of your foliage and make sure that it's more transmissive, because you can see it here as well. It's basically the back sides of all of the leaves look like they're quite a bit darker. And yeah, I think that's really what I wanted to point out with that image. The stuff on this one, the reason I grabbed this one is there's a lot of like crazy saturation stuff going on. So like this foliage is super saturated. So it's maybe more saturated than it would realistically be. Let me grab this and kind of, so like if you were to pull this down, it's probably more just eyeballing, which is not scientific at all. Just so we're aware of that. Like saturation wise, see if I bring it down, this is more comfortable range for me. And if I undo it and you can see, I have to, no, I lost it. Okay, let's do, let's erase that and we'll go back here and I'll just do it again here. So maybe somewhere around like 29. And you can see when I undo it, just the color is it's really saturated. So watching out for saturation and then the noise in textures. Be super careful with this type of noise. Like I know these types of materials can be quite noisy. If this is like a moss, that noise that you see is the little crevices and the gaps inside of the moss, right? And that's literally where the light can't get to. So it's basically ambient occlusion for moss. Just a quick little thing. So Naughty Dog has done this, and I actually do this now with other assets as well. But so let's say this is your material. Wow, that's a weirdly okay circle. Take your material, and when you have ambient occlusion, it's usually in shadow, right? So if this is your highlight, the light's coming in from this way, all of your AO is going to show up here whenever like the light stops reaching it. Now, with that, you can actually start taking that ambient occlusion, and sure, it's going to be everywhere, but then you could actually do a Fresnel to actually mask the ambient occlusion so it only shows up on the sides. So in shadow on the sides of moss, sorry, I want to say it the other way around. On the outside edges, or like way out here, you basically don't want any ambient occlusion. And then in here in the core is where you'd see the most ambient occlusion. That's super, because then you're looking right at moss, like right in your face. Right in the middle of it is probably where you'd see the most ambient occlusion. As it starts to go around the surface, right, and you get to the side, you don't have view to see that depth. So the ambient occlusion is actually going to go away. And then don't forget that your moss should have like a Fresnel kind of like glow to it, like a subsurface glow. So just keep that in mind. And this noise should go away unless it's in the albedo. You don't want this type of noise in your albedo. Let's see what we got. What else is going on in here? Yeah, this stuff's really cool. The little side area here feels strange to me. You want to look for anything that kind of feels odd. Pandu, how you doing, man? And Tobias, hi. But see, this shot actually is kind of lacking a compositional direction. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to look here because that's the brighter area. But you have like the really high saturation here, and it's pretty organized in a way where you don't really see a strong compositional direction. You're looking good today, Jared. Dude, what is happening to my... No, it's fine, man. It's fine. I need a haircut. Oh, I like this. This type of style choice for like different lighting scenarios. Wow, this kind of looks like dry ice smoke stuff. I'm really bad with particles and whatnot. I mean, I just haven't really put time into it. So you're going to want to watch for like, look at reference and see what's making the water look good. And a lot of it is going to be contrast. Like, I can't tell that where the rock is wet and where it's dry or not as wet. So with that in mind, you could probably put more, like your roughness around the water could be, the rock could be more saturated and darker because of how it reacts to being wet. Oh, Cairo, thanks for linking that. And then where there isn't water, maybe it's less wet, or it's more of like a damp surface. It's going to be a little less saturated and a little less, a little brighter in the value. Hey, Polygon, how you doing? Good to see you, dude. And I think the last comment on this is this shot right here is quite dark. If we do that classic check I like to do. So if we paste this image in here, and I'll just make the background yellow. And then if I double click on this layer, and then you take your blend range and you just bring it up, you can see like you get the middle line because this is basically a black value, right? Wherever it's black is essentially a lack of information. So those pixels in that area, so like in here, no matter how much I try to adapt the levels to try and see more of this or like brighten up the scene, I don't really have control over any of those pixels because there's no information to move around. So you want to make sure that your shadowed areas are quite a bit, or not quite a bit. You want to make sure your shadowed areas have some information. Let's look at the rest of your portfolio because this is more realistic stuff, and I want to kind of get into this scene, or this little diorama, if you want to call it a diorama, is really powerful. Like I really, really like this. Like the lighting is pretty on point. If I copy this and we go, let's just paste this in here. So if you go in here and let's see if we grab so this is probably the brightest point. We just grab that color, right? And then we grab your brightest point here. And then let's, hang on, what am I trying to do here? Oh, here we go. Okay. So if I select this one, you can see it in the value range. It's sitting right around, I'm just going to screenshot this. Okay. And then getting all types of noises today. I dropped this one. Oh, hang on. You can see how this one's much more. Why am I getting all these noises now? Are you guys hearing that as well? So you can see the range of the highlight on this. You don't hear anything? Oh, that's good. Ghost in the Machine. The little Photoshop bleep error. You do? Okay. Okay, I'm not crazy. Good, 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 good. So you can see how in the value range, like going up value-wise, it's quite high for the highlight of this. And balance-wise, you're sitting down here with the purple. So if you were to actually eyedrop maybe somewhere closer to here, and then paint that, let's see if I can even, I'm terrible with this stuff. Painting a highlight somewhere in here that matches that same value is going to balance your scene out a little bit more, right? Not necessarily a good thing. It's just something to keep in mind when you're trying to balance a composition, that the reality is you might need to bring the brightness up of your hat in order to balance the shot. But I mean, I think this is actually super successful. And the smoke, the way you've laid this all out, looks really good. Stylistically, I would say the wood material down here is actually suffering. Same with the leaves, is suffering a bit from the way that this looks painted. So like this area looks really good, whereas this one looks like you're relying on Substance Painter to give you highlights, when maybe you should just paint them in. You could use the mask to present where the edges are going to be, but then just paint over that and then soften it up with your own painting in the mask itself. That way it doesn't look so generated and kind of matches more with the soft values that you have going on in here. The spider web kind of looks like it might be painted in post, but I think it's actually in the scene. Dude, look at this little guy. No, this is cool. But I would watch out for the way things look in comparison style-wise when you start to go into this more stylistic direction. Let's go back and we'll look at this axe as well. I love when something like this is created and you got the little wisps and stuff. This is when I like to see the wireframe, because I'm really curious how you constructed the look, right? Oh man, there's even an interactive. Oh boy. Yeah, see, look at all that depth. Just the fact that can move around and that this parallax is in front of it. Super cool. I actually really like how you solved the end of the rope. That's actually really cool. This was well executed. This is interesting too. I didn't see these. That's cool. But yeah, no, this was well done. Oh, look at that. Nice. Very cool. Oh, I gotta see this one too. I'll look at this one and then I'll move on. I don't have too much to comment on other than consistency of style. And you can see like the wood material for this one is quite consistent with the direction you went with this. So like if the wood material could be like the same color, actually, I wonder if I can just, this is probably asking too much of myself to try and figure this out. But I think you can see what I'm about to do. So like this wood material, right? I'll just erase all this so we're just looking at that style, like this direction, much more in line, I think, with how you painted the rest of the stuff. Because then you could actually go in and just shift this to more of the purple you were going for. Maybe tone the saturation down, lighten it up a bit. And you can see how much less the noise there is just kind of gone that you're getting in this one. This is like, yeah, I really like actually how you created this part. I can't paint. Anyways, super cool. Your portfolio is pretty strong. I think if you want to be a 3D artist for stylized work, I think it's going in this route where you're making scenes, and then watching out for, if I pause this, watching out for the balance in your material ranges where you have these really dark values against lighter values. Yeah, I think you'll notice when you're looking at stylized work, you're going to see a lot of information that would have been the normal map that they're actually using. Like if you're in Substance Painter, taking the green channel of a normal map and using that as the base for your mask, and then painting on top of the mask, then you're actually painting lighting information versus relying on the normal map to do it. And a lot of studios that are doing stylized work don't usually use the normal map other than as a guide to help them paint the details they're looking for. So just watching out for the contrast and things and kind of balancing everything out. Like the wood material here is pretty saturated by comparison to the walls. And the value of it is very different. So like if I were to screenshot this and then bring it in here, if I grayscale it, you can see how dark these are to the building. Whereas like the color between these two wall pieces is it's pretty different. Whoops. But value-wise, they're not all that different. So you could take these areas. I'm just going to really like roughly grab this information here. We'll just paste it on top of itself. And if you look at like, if you start to lighten it, like look at that. All of a sudden, it's still different, but it's more in line with what the rest of the building is doing. You probably want to maybe push the saturation down just a little bit. And you could see like how much better your materials are going to be able to read and how everything becomes more unified. But yeah, I think you're on the right track with your work, and it's just a matter of time before you get picked up to work on some stuff. Do you have any like dream places you're trying to work at, or maybe not dream places, but like projects you want to be part of? Because looking at how they do stuff and analyzing and understanding it. Toys for Bob. What is that? Oh. Spyro and Crash. I see. Yeah, a lot of their information is painted in. They don't really rely on much else. Yeah, definitely look at the techniques that they're doing and see if there's any videos you can find on it. You can see up here where I had zoomed in, like this area, these are really dark. I don't think there's a reason for that there to be that much contrast, even in the cracks here, because you don't want to bring out all of this noise and variation. What you want to do is unify it, but then also have the viewer understand what the material is. Yeah, it's a BS, man. That guy's godly. Not because we share the same name. Yeah, feel free to link his stuff in the in chat. All right, well, hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to just delete all this stuff and then move on to the next folio. But yeah. Hey, thank you, 90.